buttons hit. And
hopefully Zucker comes back before he applies his
before he's done with his lip balm. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Steeler here, back again with yet another RDX podcast. First and foremost, if you are here, you are absolutely the most dedicated supporters of the show there are, because Gears of War has come out today, and we don't expect it to be massive, but we really appreciate those who still showed up. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much. Hey, we got a ton to talk about today, including a new interview with a developer speaking on the ray tracing capabilities. This is a Gears of War developer. We got a bunch of new games to talk about, Xbox Live, and so much more. So thanks for checking us out. Got to put my phone silent. But we're going to start with some intros. We'll do some shout outs. And of course, we'll get into some comment stuff, some topic stuff. And I just want to thank you all again for showing up. Cody Swood, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you inviting me to be on your show today.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. You're OG, original.
Thanks for having you on my show. I'm like in Gears Overload. Finished with Gears 5, still playing Horde and stuff, playing campaign with friends, and playing a little bit of Gears 3. I'm back and Pat, so we'll talk about Gears as well today.
Woo! Gears is out, guys. It's finally out for everybody. Again, if you played it, let us know your thoughts. Hit that like button as we get going. Share this where you share things. Help us out. If you like the show, help other Xbox fans find the show as well. We do appreciate it. We've we're going to talk about some things. We've been pretty damn consistent with the Gears of War thing. It's really funny to me. D-Batch, what's going on, brother?
Oh, man, I'm chilling, man. I've been playing Gears like the rest of you guys. Been playing on the X. Been playing it on PC. What a looker. What a time to be a gamer. We're starting to approach the next generation, and it's quite evident with this game because it just looks phenomenal. I have mixed emotions about today's podcast. I do want to do the show. I do want to talk about the things that we have to talk about, but at the same time, I want to play some Gears.
That's what I was saying, man. Imagine the people in the chat. Again, it takes some crazy willpower here. So, Fonz, what's going on, man? How have you been?
Hey, I just want to mention real fast that you have a new member to the channel, and it's Michael Washington, first of all.
Oh my God, Michael Washington. Thank you so much.
I've been great, though. Thank you for asking. And also, just like Colt said, thank you for inviting me on as well. I want to talk about Gears tonight, man. I mean, that's really the main thing I want to talk about. But hey, you got some great topics aside from that, so let's get into it.
Thank you to Dave UK as well. He says, morning, those guys over there, it's pretty early for those guys. So if you're over there in the UK or over in Europe somewhere where you shouldn't be up, but you are, thank you. Hopefully your sacrifice was not in vain. Hey, we've also got Beastfire, or God damn it, xCloud, Tim Dog. No more Beastfire. It's all about the xCloud. How have you been?
Good. Happy to be here. I'm very hyped about this week. We can talk about Gears finally. Last week was a little tough because some people played the games, others didn't, couldn't talk about it, blah, blah, blah. But, the situation is we're here. I'm going to look for a Rock'em Sock'em show. And always a pleasure to be with the panel members on this awesome podcast.
We've also got Zalker87. What's going on, brother? Nice helmet.
Not much, man. Excited to talk about some Gears, beat the game. I think Sunday night I played it with Lethal Papa. We played through the whole campaign together, and co-op was a lot of fun. We tried. Lethal. If you guys want to laugh, play with Lethal. The dude will make you laugh for hours on end. He's fucking awesome. But yeah, man, I just can't wait to talk about it. That game is just, that's all I gotta say, man. I don't know what else to say. I love it.
We've got Beaner with a bold prediction. First off, he says RDX fans have already beat Gears of War with Game Pass Ultimate. Always a good show. Also, left field prediction, but Bungie is coming home. What do you guys think about that? Do you think, chat, let us know. Is Bungie, I mean, Phil and the guy from Bungie, they had a sleepover the other day. Like, they are hanging out.
Yeah.
They might get a little exclusivity thing here and there. I think maybe some marketing stuff or whatever.
Like an exclusive poncho for your character?
No, I don't think they're coming home, man. They're not coming.
I don't think so either. Just because it's a sleepover doesn't mean there's commitment.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad breakup, man. Microsoft would have to bring their A game, man, and slang that.
Well, no. Bungie is happy right now, man. Everything I've been reading, Bungie is happy where they're at.
Yeah, of course they are. They got away from Activision, Satan themselves, so it's fine.
Well, yeah.
Well, hey.
Well, I would say this much: if it does happen, I think it would cause a little bit of an issue with Halo. So that's why I don't see it happening. But they are definitely getting a little cozy with Xbox, which is a good thing. So you might see some exclusive deals, maybe some marketing deals and stuff like that of those nature.
Well, you never know. They could be a little too friendly for their own good, and you never know what's going to happen.
They could also, seeing the new Microsoft, the way they are now, how they're being open with these studios and letting these studios, do the things that they want to do. They're not so heavy-handed with their employees or their studios. So that could be, a reason for them to come back home if they have.
So what you're saying is Phil Spencer threw a rock at their window. They looked out. He had a boombox over his head in the rain. He got on his knees. He said, "I'm different. I've changed." Just see what you've done, Beaner. Now we're getting into stories of romance. We got to go. We got to move forward. Again, thanks to everyone joining us live. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you haven't joined the channel, do so. If you want to support the show, get some emojis and make your name a different color. I know that's why most of you don't do it. You do it to support. But at the end of the day, we do also have some patron shout-outs as well for the patron tier. And I will be updating this next week. Also, we'll be doing a giveaway. I'll be posting that tonight after the show on Patreon as well. Thank you guys so much. So we got Prython, we got Beck Boss, we got DV83RX, we've got Tasteless Genie, we've also got Scout Trooper, Centurion, LegionOfGamer.com, Black, Real Deal Neil, Suicide King, we got Darj Knight, Michael Bowen, Channing Pennington, Guillermo Cabillo. We've also got some other ones here that I've got on a separate browser. Here we've also got the Bad Boy Live. Shout out to him. I was talking to him at length on Patreon as well. Really cool guy. Alfonso Hogan, thank you so much, sir. I wish you'd talk to me more. Also, A Squad Gaming. Really good Call of Duty Ghost Recon content. He was on here a week or so ago. And again, thank you all for what you do. That link is down below if you happen to give a fuck. Let's go ahead and move on to Gears of War 5 reviews and reactions, as well as the latest news on the DLC, and of course, that interview with the developer on the Project Scarlett. Cold Eastwood, right now, it's sitting at an 85 meta. It got some more reviews in today from both Forbes and DualShockers, both giving it a 9 out of 10. Absolute trash, right? Also, Forbes says that this could be the best.
86.
It's an 86.
Yeah, isn't that what I said?
You said 85, but that's fine.
My bad.
No big deal.
My super chat.
85 is a 6.
Super chat's leaking into my real life reading here. 86 Metascore, my bad. And Forbes and DualShockers gave it a 9 out of 10. I think it was Forbes that said that Gears. Wait, that's the video I'm going to make fun of. That's right. Best looking game of all time according to Forbes, right?
Yeah. What an upset. I mean, somebody was like, why were you trashing Xbox and now you're talking nice about it? And somebody said that on Twitter. I said, hey, man, 2017, it was a different Xbox. Look at how much they've evolved and how much they've improved. This is what happens. You do things better, you get the praise. You got to earn it first. And I really think that's what's going on. It's not really a whole thing about media bias. Look at DualShockers. They are praising the heck out of this game. What you said they gave it a 9 out of 10?
9 out of 10.
Said it's one of the best looking games this generation?
By
Didn't
far.
they say that?
Yeah.
That's
true.
And Forbes seems to think it's the best looking.
Absolute crickets on their social media presence on Twitter. They tweeted out that headline. It was one of the best looking games this generation. The only retweet was from me.
Of
course, it's Cold Eastwood breakdancing in the comments.
Yeah, I'm like,
come on down.
You hate to see it. No, that's kind of like what it was. But DualShockers enamored of the game. I don't blame him. It's one of the best looking games I played this generation. I mean, God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted, Forza Horizon 3 or 4, like those are top tier looking games. Yeah. And Gears 5 is right up there.
I just want to add too, what's really interesting for me is not just the Metascore of 86, which is pretty good. I'd like it a little bit higher, but 86 is a fantastic score. Is the user score. The user score is at 8.8. And if you've been following Metacritic, anytime an Xbox game comes down, you got these guys going there and posting 1s and 0s and -0s. And
you still have that. You still have that. It's just, but you have a ton of 10s.
Right. Yeah. So it's just getting good reviews, and an 8.8 on a Metacritic. Usually the user score is not higher than the Metascore. So this game is just fantastic,
especially with all the little turds that give it a 0.
Yeah. This game is fantastic, and I know we're talking a lot about Gears going to be throughout the whole show, but I have to say this: Gears is one of those games that you have to play in HDR. I think it's such a huge difference that game makes with HDR enabled. It's just such.
I do notice a lot more detail, like in JD's hair when you jump out of the chopper at the beginning and stuff. I went back and watched the footage, and I'd go to the game, and there's a difference there for sure. But there's a premium to that.
Every single room you walk into in that game, I literally would just stop and stare at everything and be like, dude, this color palette's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, everything about it just screams high quality. It is, to me, the best looking game this entire generation. Against any game, I don't care.
And the little details, like everything is the floor, the wall, the fucking paper. Everything is so detailed.
Yeah, dude, even the blood that's on your character after you like mess someone up, like just everything is just so good. The rain, like I don't know if you guys saw, like I don't know what act it was raining. Like the rain is ridiculous. Like your character, the way they look, everything. Like you're just like the water on the armor. I was just like blown away. I was like, dude.
So what you're saying is it looks
and the
good.
textures on the armor, like the scratches, the bruised metal, like the brushed metal, the reflections on it. Holy shit, man.
But you can't shoot a tin can off a desk, so it's a 2 out of 10.
Hey, we got a lot to cover on Gears. We got a lot of other great topics as well. I want to give a shout out to the people that support us: Screeching Beaver, Marquise Goodwin, GK. We got Game Bread. We've also got Invader Gaming. We've got Nate 50 Cal. I like that name. We've also got Dave UK. We've got all our fantastic moderator Obi-Wan FTW. We got Lethal Papa, Caleb, Kevin, all you guys. Mizzy, what's going on? Again, there's a lot. This dog over here, man. I'm watching these dogs right now and I'm about to die. Basically, what I'm going to get at here is that this game does look absolutely fantastic. It's reviewing well. I expected it to be a bit higher. Undoubtedly, the ridiculous 6 out of 10, 60% that US Gamer gave it did some work in the wrong way. And by the way, we kind of talked to those guys over there, and we learned that a 2.5 out of 5, which is a 50, it means the game's okay. And I'm thinking, like, get your broken ass fucking dog shit 5-star system off of Metacritic. Like, it breaks the aggregate, right? You're either a B or you're a 100% by that logic. I just don't think that makes any. I don't even put math to my score because I feel how good the game is. Like, if that makes any sense, I feel like it's a 92.
It's not that you're either a B or you're an F. I mean, if you give it, I'm not trying to kid around. Like if he gave it, what did he give it? 3 stars out of 5 or 2.5?
3 out of 5.
Horizon Zero Dawn was a 2.5, which I don't agree with either. But 3 was for Gears.
He gave it a 60 according to Metacritic, which is a failing grade. And anyone in this room who says that they're going to go buy a 60 rated game day one, I mean, look at Crackdown 3. That's a 60 on Meta.
Well, it's that 1 through 5 score that doesn't really translate well to
100%.
It really does.
Yeah, they need to update that. So as Forbes says, as many people say, is this the best looking game? Well, if it is the best looking game, it comes at a cost, man. And of course, we got YouTube channels that thrive off of just bashing games and just bringing them down, even quality ones like Gears 5. And I think it was like Kroby Cat or whoever, they made a video called Gears Lacks Weight and Intensity. And all they did was focus on the few little, and even those are debatable as to if it's worse or better. I don't really see it.
You know what? Can I ask you a question about that? Did they focus on the sluggishness of those older games?
They didn't focus on the frame rate, the performance, the sluggishness, anything.
Yeah.
Did you look at the size of the maps that Crobat showed? I mean, it's so like shrunk on 2.
But if he would have did the video the opposite way, Tim, nobody would have watched it, and that's how YouTube works. Yeah, something's got to be dying, or something's got to be dead.
There was a lot more explosions and things blowing up in Red Faction back in the day than most of the games that come out today. So I don't want to hear that kind of crap. It's ridiculous.
I saw another video. Some guy was saying, "Oh, this is not black smoke. Gears 5 does not have black smoke. Look at the black smoke in Gears 3." Like,
and he's got like a Zenith with 7-inch bezels. Look, I can't. There's no black smoke at all. Like he's just got the most dog shit display there is. So what I want to get at here is why you do have guys that make viral videos that kind of bash games and bring them down. They show downgrades, things like that. With Gears 5, there was no downgrade, of course. It looks pretty much just like they showed it 2 years ago. The problem is when you have a game that runs at 60 FPS, it looks this great. It's got these big open world hubs. It's got all these effects. It's got GPU accelerated particles. Everything they've done. You know, there's going to be some things that it comes at the cost of, and that is physics. You know, it is cool how in Gears 1 you can shoot stuff and the benches and everything shatter and all that. But when it comes to that versus all of those other benefits, including the better frame rate, I mean, no wonder Coalition got rid of that stuff, because it's CPU intensive physics type stuff, and that's just not going to fly on modern consoles.
Look who's back, Top Dog. He said, so there's compromises for 4K 60.
Look at him.
Hey, Top Dog, have you ever even seen a 4K 60 game, bud?
Jeez.
It's people like that combined every quote from the developers for the Scorpio edition, saying there's no compromise for 4K. You have 60 FPS on some games, and they just combine all those quotes together so that they can bash and say, well, I mean, it's
like the guy from Forza. He says these are the highest quality pixels we've ever seen. He's talking about his team, you fucking idiots. His team.
Also, too,
we've got a super chat we need to go out that kind of goes with this. Underachiever says, what's crazy is the reaction of gamers getting very upset that reviewers like Paul Tassi of Forbes giving props to Gears, or what about the continual harassment of John Linneman of Digital Foundry for his Gears 5 breakdown? Did you guys see that this morning?
Yes.
No, I know some crackhead made a video and basically was saying the analysis wasn't accurate. It's like, all right.
They were also quoting, I think his name's NX Gamer, or what's his name? Dealer, you always remember his name.
Yeah, NX Gamer, sir. That's right.
NX Gamer did the pixel counts. Now, this guy, here's the problem with pixel counts, but he was wrong about Devil May Cry, and Digital Foundry did a breakdown and said they knew what the resolution is. Like, now, you have to understand that.
Well, what did he say the resolution was?
He said it was checkerboard. I don't think it wasn't.
Yeah, NX Gamer said that it ran all the way down to 1080p, and then frame rates dropped as low as 45 frames per second. Digital Foundry said the frame rate average was 59.1 across the entire campaign.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like the game is sharper than 1080p every time I play it, for sure.
I mean, here's the honest truth, though. I mean, throw all that bullshit aside when it comes to, pixel count and all that. I see with my damn eyes. I look at it on my HDR TV, and I see something that's freaking beautiful. Oh, no. I don't need anybody to tell me that it looks good or not. I hate that people always attack games and opinions from other people all the time. It makes no sense.
You know what? I want to dead that too, because to be honest with you, unless you have just 4 graphics card, 2070 Super, 2080 or 2080 Super, or 2080 Ti or a Radeon 7, you're not getting 4K 60 on your PC unless you have those cards.
Well, how much are those cards?
And they're expensive.
Anywhere from $400 to $1,200.
Saying otherwise is mistaken. There's a feature that's built in. It's on by default that it does dynamic resolution, does reconstruct on your PC, like to maintain 60 frames per second. So this is a very demanding game. Very few rigs can run it at 4K.
Dealer, earlier you said that the game looks just as good as it did a couple of years ago when they showed it off. I would argue that it looks better on my television because the HDR.
Well, we're seeing it in HDR now. That's the difference. Yeah.
And also, too, I think the textures overall, just the level of detail overall, I think it far exceeded my expectations. It's definitely better than what they showed.
Just to clarify Digital Foundry's thing, though, they did confirm that it does run at native 4K as well. It's not all the way dynamic. It's not all the way dynamic or all the way reconstructed. What happens is when it runs at a native pixel count, when that stuff and that load picks up, it'll drop. Then it starts reconstructing itself using data from previous frames. That's when you get the interpolation, injection type stuff going on. So it's not always using that. It's only when it drops, and then it'll reconstruct itself back up to hold a higher resolution than it would if it were just a plain native resolution. That's how it's some new stuff. They're also doing it on top of, or actually under, all of the post-processing, they said. So you'll get all that reconstruction, but everything that's post-processing doesn't have to go through that reconstruction filter.
Are we going to see a dynamic 4K frame buffer at 60 frames on The Last of Us 2? Since it comes out around the same time as
No, that game will be 30 frames per second, and it's going to look great though. But
it won't be native. It won't be native.
I got to read a super chat real quick. S Spider-Man says Gears 5 would be game of the year if it had pissed mechanics.
For that piss mechanics.
Piss.
That's
No,
really-
okay, you put an ED on there. Okay, yeah, I don't know. That would be. Yeah, you're gonna remind us of the Kojima rants from Fonz. We've also got Infernal Lock. He says, "See the Xbox." Wait, what's this thing? Posting? Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Building on Twitter. Oh, you're talking about the post on Twitter where they had the advertise. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did see that. Somebody else sent one in a Subway as well, which was cool. They're actually advertising the game. Tim.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
Aaron Greenberg
is.
had multiple posts today. They're putting it on buildings everywhere, all over the planet.
It was
right
on. It was on at pretty much every single football game I saw this week.
Yeah.
Every
movie theaters.
commercial and movie theaters. Monday Night Football had like 3 commercials like right after like big parts of the game. I've seen it everywhere, like literally everywhere. I've seen Gears of War and Game Pass everywhere I turn. There's an advertisement for Gears of War or Game Pass, and that's that. I understand we're talking about the resolution and the frame, the performance, and all that stuff. But the one thing I got to give credit to is that a lot of the stuff they showed in the advertising really didn't show anything that's happening in the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I felt extremely surprised. I felt like, wow, this happened. Like this is happening, then this is happening. Like everything. Like they showed me some of the snow, some of the sand, but Act 1, like that was equally as impressive to me. Act 4, the ending is just a freaking crazy roller coaster. Like you're just like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like,
speaking of Act 4, somebody posted on Twitter today, and I had to laugh. I shared it in our DMs there, but he said that Act 4 felt rushed. It was obvious. It was rushed. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, we have to be careful of spoilers since the majority of people are just starting to play.
Yeah,
but
I'm not spoiling anything, but it was definitely not rushed, people. Act 4 was amazing. It was awesome.
Act 4 is basically your reward for playing through the game, and they just let you just have.
Well, no, Act 4 is kind of like you didn't realize how much more they can give you. That's the thing that happened to me. Like I was playing through all the other acts and looking at the open world, and I was like, man, this game is awesome. And then Act 4 happened, and I was just like blown away. I was like, whoa, way to freaking end it. Like everything is just awesome. It pays off a lot of the stuff you learn, everything you do. It's just great.
It's great. It's great. It's all great, everybody. Everybody who's listening, it's amazing. Infernal Lock says that Gears in Times Square. Yeah, they are marketing it there as well, man. They're going really hard on this.
In Australia.
They're in my Walmart cookie section, damn it.
Well, listen, on the I have a point on we got a little we with the super chat, but the thing about the Digital Foundry and everything, I think that people kind of have maybe it's because it's Xbox, but the bottom line with this game is a technical, I would say, masterpiece. From when you're talking about 4K 60, you have the best sound I've ever heard in the game, pretty much or comparable with the Dolby Atmos that nobody really talks about. And they went for this for the 4K 60, and it paid off. And the bottom line is that people are grasping for straws if they're looking for tits and tats for over this and that. Just give credit where the credit. This is one of the top games ever created as far on a technical standpoint ever.
Yeah. Hang on. Beast Mode 82 says you guys no, God of War looks better. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Beast Mode. And that's no slight against God of War or Gears of War. Hear me out.
He's argued with us many times.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that in many cases God of War does look better. When I look at Kratos and I see, the fucking trap bulging, and it just at a glance it looks more realistic. It's got a more realistic art style. They're not kind of bulky and kind of different looking. Like, it's a little bit more human, if that makes any sense. A little bit more natural. I think it's a gorgeous looking game. One of the best looking, of course. People are writing off games like Metro as well. A lot of people haven't seen Metro. Metro looks fucking nuts. So God of War, it might look better, but also it's a different art style. It's a different art style, and it's running at half the frame rate of Gears of War. Now this is something that I pointed out on my buddy Zaire's channel like a couple months ago, when we were talking about Last of Us versus Halo and all these other games. I said, guys, this Halo, this is at double the frame rate of any of these games you guys are talking about. Like, this is not, for one, a fair comparison, and two, 60 FPS is going to look much better in motion. Like, they could literally double the fidelity if they half the frame rate if they wanted to.
Dealer, you know about the tech involved, and others that know about the tech involved are also saying, in their opinions, it looks like it could be the best looking game this generation.
Yeah.
If they're even comparing it to God of War at 60 frames, it's an impressive achievement, hands down.
I mean, people don't understand what it takes to do that.
Real quick. Top Dog says the skiff gameplay was boring. Well, Top Dog, you were playing the game wrong. You're not supposed to do.
He wasn't playing the game.
You're not supposed to be.
He was trying to bobsled.
It's so
Top
weird.
Top Dog's a fake. He's in my DM saying, "I love this game. It's the greatest ever." Sony. The guy is he plays a game. That's all.
I'm glad that he's back though. He got really mad at us for a while there, Tim. Don't make him mad again. He ran away last time.
No, he's happy with the game. Trust me. I've had like a paragraph of him saying, "Oh yeah, we killed Sony. Yeah, this game's great." So Top Dog, let's be real. Let's try to not always play that act.
Yeah. I think we all can agree that Gears 5 is definitely top 3 of this generation.
Well,
it should be no argument.
Again, this is why I pointed out in my review. They can half the frame rate and ramp up all those graphics if they wanted, but the fact that they even got it running at 60 FPS is people don't understand.
That's not what they did though. That interview today from one of the developers for Coalition said that was Rod's.
They wanted it. They wanted it like that from the beginning.
And they had to rearrange the whole workflow of how they were going to make the game. They said things that were tough to do on a linear Gears of War game, they had to totally reinvent the way they built their game so they could stream the game behind the scenes and have it come in and have full fidelity at 60 frames. And they weren't going to compromise on that. And the strange thing was, you double the frame rate and they knocked over people like from Digital Foundry. John Linneman was totally bowled over by how great that game looks at that frame rate.
Well, and I'm thinking more for like the way the game looks. Like I think what kind of Tim said, the sound is amazing. Like obviously it's amazing, but when you're playing Horde mode and there's so many things on screen, it never drops. Like we were playing Horde last night and it never drops. But it's not just that. It's to me, we like the HDR in it, the color palette that the game has really sets it apart from God of War. Like there's a couple of parts in God of War that are very bland looking, like the world. I'm sorry to say, and I love that game. I love God of War.
Here's the thing: when it comes to total package, you've got the performance, you've got the looks. Gears for me is above God of War in that respect, but I do prefer the art style of God of War better. So I would choose that game in terms of like the way the Kratos looks and stuff. I prefer that style.
And again, who knows what they could make it look like if they, if they cut the frames in half, that means they got pretty much essentially double the GPU power to pour into visuals. So this is what they did on top of 60 FPS. And this brings me to another point. We've been pushing 60 frames per second for years. And we finally got guys that never did see it before, or they just were against it, or I didn't buy a 4K TV to play at 60 FPS, even though your 4K TV does 60 FPS, but you're not using it. Same logic would destroy your own logic, if that makes any sense. Basically, a lot of guys in the community are finally understanding why we have been preaching 60 FPS for this long. And both the haters and the fans alike are blown away by how the game looks. Honestly, I mean, it looks really good.
Said God of War is 60 frames. No, it is not. God of War hardly ever reaches 60 frames. Per second.
There's only one scene where you actually are looking at the sky, and I think there's one enemy, and it's like in the mid 50s, and it might ping up. But on average, if you watch Digital Foundry's analysis, it's in the mid 30s, high 30s a lot of the time, just walking around.
And I gotta add too, because I played most of the game in that mode, and I dropped it to 30 because some of the frame dips are so jarring that it just made it unplayable in certain parts.
Most people played it.
I did not get that, and I want to stress that I did not get that in Gears 5. There was no jarring dips at all.
Well, and let me talk about this real quick because we are sitting on the technical stuff a little too long. So for one, people are seeing the frame rate. They're seeing how good this game looks, and they're saying, well, this is the first time the Xbox One X has fully actually been used, and that's not true. There's been so many games that run There's been so many games that run at ridiculously high resolutions, 4K included, with all these effects and stuff, all this stuff, and not even just that. I mean, there's so many games that utilize the X that it's not even funny. The difference is The Coalition literally took things like tessellation off the CPU. They changed the physics. They changed how this stuff works to give you this frame rate and this fidelity right here. So everyone else kind of like, oh, traditionally the tessellation's here. The Coalition said, look, to do this, we have to power this with the GPU, where the overhead is. They did what they had to, man. So it's not that no one else used the X. The X generally does double the resolution of the Pro, easy. So it's being used. It's just that Coalition, they know what the hell they're doing, you know. We do have to kind of move forward though. We've been on this shit for a minute. So it is. I'm trying to go back through here.
No, man, Gears is life.
Well, I just want to make one quick point, and then we'll definitely move. Me have always had this conversation about the 60 frames per second, and I'm always like, I really, I'm older, and sometimes I don't see it. I have to say, with this game, with the fidelity and the resolution, the way they implemented and the pretty much consistent 60 frames per second, this game really kind of proved your point to me, because I can see it, but I can feel it, and when it all comes together like this, which pretty much is the first time this is really happening of this type of level, you really recognize it, and you say, you know what? Shit, I'd rather have 4K checkerboard rendering 60.
I mean, but even Tomb Raider, when you switched it to 1080p 60, you were like, whoa, you know?
Right, yeah, but I could say that the difference is that I did like the visual fidelity on the 4K, but here
you get both.
You get both, and that's where, to me, it kind of like opened my eyes to what you've been saying.
Well, and the one thing that sets it apart for me, every game that we've been talking about, God of War, Tomb Raider, Metro, they're all single player. I played through that whole campaign on co-op with Lethal, so that to me sets it above everything else. Just playing with your friend, to me, gaming is kind of like a social thing. You play with your friends and you have a good time. So I don't know, man. I don't know how they did it to make it that smooth, even in co-op. Everything else, like, I don't know, man. I don't care how they did it, but just keep doing it, and I can't wait to see what they do with the next one.
The game has 3-player local co-op. It's incredible.
Yep. Yeah, dude. And 5-player in Horde, 3-player Escape, and then even playing as Jack. Like, it's just freaking awesome. Like, it's just so.
Now, imagine if they just said, no, we don't need any of that. We'll just make a single-player campaign. That's it. Imagine how much more modes? They probably. That's people just like. Kind of for whatever reason don't give Xbox the respect it's due in that in just exactly in what you just said. There's so many games that have those offerings where it's like people like just kind of like disregard it. What would you rather have, that, or would you a full package type deal like that, which is Gears is coming unbelievably with the campaign and multiplayer? You can have that, or just have just the campaign, and that's it.
The map creator.
And map. But let's just have all our games just have a single player.
Others Inc. says 4K checkerboard is blurry in motion. Sometimes it can be, but what you're seeing in Gears is motion blur. Because, like I said, Others Inc. the game isn't always checkerboarded. Or reconstructed, rather. So there is motion blur in Gears on the console as well.
One thing we should say before we move on is that this past weekend was really, really bad.
That was the next point of my topic. Yeah.
Oh, okay, it is there. Okay, I just want to make sure.
So there were a bunch of first and foremost, when we got our copy. We beat the game over a week ago. We got copies early. We ran through that game. Reviews are up. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. No spoilers. Even though people are like, there's spoilers. No, I'm killing guys that you've seen in other games. Like, there's no real spoilers in this game. Trust me, in this review. But when me and Colt played through this, we played through most of it in co-op. We did not get disconnected one time. We did not have one problem with collectibles or any of that stuff happening that people are complaining about. Checkpoint loads, checkpoint glitches. None of that. Nothing happened. And there's a reason you didn't hear about this in the reviews. Any that I saw, none of them really mentioned anything like this. That's because it wasn't a problem. There was either a bad patch that hit, which there was a gig and a half, I think, patch that hit before the game released. I remember that downloading. And
but we also played with that, yeah.
There was also, we did play with that a little bit. There was also the Xbox Live outage thing, which we'll talk about. And that's when a lot of people started having the issues. Now, luckily, it's not that we weren't giving our real opinion. We've always fucking done it. We've been, by far the most honest for years, talking about how we need more games and stuff. There's no point in us lying now. There was no issue. There was no issue at all with that.
Yeah, I got to say something about that too, because I had gotten a review code too as well. And that Friday, when I started to play the first act, I didn't have any problems with it. It wasn't until after the outage of Xbox Live when I started to have those issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we had disconnects with Lethal a bunch. And there were some problems, but I mean, the game outweighed what was happening. Like I was just like, all right, just reconnect, bam, and then we're back in, and we kept going.
There were patches where it was pretty much unplayable. I was playing with Underachiever as the second character, and there was times where I would hit the Xbox menu button to grab a screenshot or record a clip. When I'd come back, I couldn't control the character at all, but the game was still playing. My game wasn't locked up. I had just lost complete control for about a minute.
They went into your settings and deleted your save.
Until he moved ahead and hit a checkpoint, it would bring me back in, and I was playing. And I was like, that was weird. And then I had like 3 where I was playing, all of a sudden I saw a loading screen, and it crashed to the dashboard. So I was like, holy crap, this is what people were dealing with. But as far as Dealer and I during our review period, it was completely flawless, and it sucks.
We saw one guy floating in the air. One guy.
Yeah, that's right. We saw in the first hub world, a guy was floating in the air with his foot like it was up on a post. And yeah, that was the worst thing we saw. But like Fonz was saying, that outage for 3 or 4 hours on Xbox Live, was it that long?
That was Friday.
It was 7 to like 11:30.
Yeah,
which I was gone that whole day. I didn't have to deal with it, but I heard the stories.
Yeah, so that was really bad, and that caused problems. People were slamming the servers trying to get on. Yeah. People were in the middle of their game when that happened. The Coalition servers were overloaded. I heard, I don't even know if anybody can even find if this is even remotely true, but I heard that Gears had 3 times the amount of people jump onto the game than they expected, knowing how many pre-orders and Game Pass subscribers they had.
And don't just run with that saying that
don't
that's
run
a fact.
with it, but it's what I heard from someone, you know, like, I mean, when they say things, I listen, but it's crazy. I don't know, but an awful situation on their biggest game of the generation, biggest game of the year. They should have battened down the hatches way more than they did.
Yeah, they should have. Like I was saying, I got affected by that 3-hour outage. Was kind of pissing me off. So I went to my Xbox hoping I could play on the Xbox, and on my local Xbox, on my One X, I have the Insider program. For some reason, it just wasn't fucking launching. So
I gotta be real with you, man. It was a lot longer than 3 hours for me. It was probably at least 5 hours that I was down completely.
It could have been 4 to 5. Yeah, listen, the people really were. It was the most trending thing on Twitter. It was like close to. It was trending all over. People were freaking out.
And because of that, people were saying, "Yeah, we told you PSN's more reliable." It's like, do you not look at how much PSN goes down compared to Xbox? Like, are you guys stupid?
I will say though that Xbox has gone down a little bit more this year than it usually does.
This generation, it goes down more. Yeah.
But I would further on my story though. What happened with us in the Insider program? So I had to come out of it in order to get the game to boot up. So I had to uninstall it. Then my whole system did like a fresh install, pretty much. It kept most of my games, but my hard drive with Gears on it wouldn't work again. I had to re-download the whole damn. So there was some issues on the weekend. The good thing is that not everybody got the Ultimate Edition. Most people are enjoying the game today. So today it's playing with no issues. So.
Hey, speaking of that, even though the game count today, we still got about almost 700 people watching already, guys. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. Let's try to get the 300 likes for the end of the show, 1,000 after the fact. Share this out. Help us expand the show. And we might kind of look into getting... We got one guy kind of locked in. You guys know him. We won't reveal who he is now, but you've seen him next to Major Nelson and other guys in Xbox stuff. He already said he'd come on, and I just reached out to... the guy we're going to talk about here in a minute from Coalition. We're going to try to start maybe getting some. We never really tried. We could probably easily get some people on. So, Infernal Lock says Gears 5 not game of the year. No one's name is Boy. Hey, that was an amazing game, Infernal Lock. Come on.
Somebody just took exception to me saying that Gears 5 was their biggest game this generation. I mean, unless you count like Forza Horizon 3 or 4, maybe. I mean, and Halo Infinite, which isn't out yet.
Halo Infinite's next generation, so it's either this or Halo 5.
Yeah, there's no comparison in my opinion. People are saying, well, Halo 1 says hi, stuff like that getting around, and I'm like, guys, like, compare the two games.
Xbox One? Like the original Xbox?
Yeah, like they're like, this is their best game ever. And I think it's one of their best games ever made. Like, I know that's a tall claim, but it's easily the best one of the generations.
Yeah, no. I agree with you when it comes to the AAA mature games. It definitely is one of the best games ever. Like I said in my review, we've all got great reviews out there. Go watch them. But anyways, I said to me, it was the next thing after Halo 3 was the last time I really felt that way about an Xbox AAA mature game. That's the last time I really felt an impact in a game.
I mean, Horizon's great, but we're talking about blockbuster AAA kind of, there's a lot of hype behind Gears, more than any Forza.
We could talk about the Cupheads and the Oris and stuff, but that's, this is the AAA pinnacle. This is what most gamers are looking forward to, and it's a fantastic.
And hopefully, when you guys play through this, you're reminded. We've been asking for this type of game for a couple of years. You're reminded as to why we never put Sea of Thieves up here. We never put State of Decay up here like this. Like, this isn't it. Like, this is what we're talking about. We want more of this. Lawrence Aklaba, he says that it has co-op, and that's an achievement in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I know we're talking about the best game or whatever, but outside of kind of Forza, which even 4 people have kind of felt fatigued, this is the first time for me in a long time where Xbox has made a game that had a lot of hype around it, and the game to me exceeded that hype. Mm-hmm. Like for the first, before this game was coming out, a lot of people were like, "All right, Gears is that big freaking game coming out," and a lot of even the haters can't deny that the game is great. Damn.
But Todd Dog says Gears is played out. They need a new IP.
Well, listen. Todd Dog,
I think I know why you was hiding that hole. Because I'll remind you that GG Sports is 75. I think maybe those guys should move the fuck on.
Don't you tell him that every time he comes on?
I just know he loves Gran Turismo for some reason, so I just keep making fun of it.
Well, listen, here's that bottom line on this. I think it's perfectly, it's in a perfect position. Gear 6 is going to be beyond epic. It'll be a closure to the series, and then you're going to have Coalition probably work on a new IP. I think that they might revisit Gears, but I don't think that people who say that. I just think that that's just people who are trying to put down the game or say anything. There's no reason after playing this game, and I haven't finished it, but after even from what I've enjoyed, that never entered my mind that I want this series to go away. Yeah. I want the story to finish. I want them to do what they set out to do, and then if they want to do a new IP after 6, they could do that. They're sure hell one of the best studios going right now. I have to say, let's just give credit where credit due. That's what we have to do, I think, as Xbox fans. And we talk about things like where we didn't prop up games like Sea of Thieves. You just look at Xbox marketing right now. This game has been marketed more than any of those games. You talk about Crackdown 3. There was nothing like this. Yeah. They marketed this game because they believed in it. And it's the same thing with fans and the same thing with Xbox. When they believe in something, they're going to push it all out. And there was a lot of fears that Xbox was never going to market again and not care. They care, and it's showing.
And they got the money to do it.
And they got a lot of money.
Yeah. The Fobs, channel member, by the way. Hey, channel members, you got a new badge this month. If you haven't noticed, some of your badges have changed. It's pretty cool. I might change those around. If you don't like the white ones, I can make 1, 2 better. The Fob says, Gears 5 was the first Gears that actually pulled me in. Beautiful and plays amazing. That's an example of what this is all about. Gears 5 is heads and shoulders above every other Gears, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And even the haters seem to agree, a lot of them.
No Russian just said that.
Perfectly. Go on, Scroll.
No Russian said that sorely missed having Epic Games make Gears. Don't you understand that almost the entire team of the Coalition is from Epic Games? Rod and all of the legacy creators and founders and just brainchilds of the Gears series have been coming up, and they're in. That is the Coalition, and that's so funny. I knew I'd bring it up during the podcast, but the past 2 days I've been playing Gears 3. It's the one game I never finished on my old account. I was up on the last chapter and I stopped playing it. So I'm restarting it. In the game, I know Gears 3 is an absolute classic, but after playing 4 and 5 so much, it feels so sluggish. The gunplay in Gears 5 is so phenomenal and so snappy, so hard hitting. It is really tough going back to with the Lancer. Because right now, Lance like, you know, and I know it sounds funny when
they actually got the sound effects from Colt.
But I mean, it's just night and day. Those games were so good back in the day. But, you know, as you move on, like Red Dead Redemption was so incredible. And then you look at how beautiful like it is when it moves up into the new generation. Like, I'm just glad that Gears is where it's at. I'm really happy with what the Coalition is. Like Tim Dog said, give them credit where credit's due. The media is all over giving credit where credit's due. Fall in line, enjoy the game. Let two things exist at one time. Uncharted 4 is amazing. So is Gears.
Hey, Immortal has a good point. He says, as long as Gears earns money and has a fan base, you know, the game will continue. Look how many basically Final Fantasy and Call of Duties there are. So hopefully they don't get to that fatigue point. But look, this game is definitely on a high, so it's a good sign. But we've been talking about this shit way too long. Again, guys, let's go ahead and move on.
Gears is life.
At the end of the day, we've been talking about Gears 5 for well over a year. And I think we're the only ones who didn't fearmonger the fuck out of the game, and we knew exactly why this game was going to be special. We told everybody they got the biggest team ever, they got the longest development cycle ever, they got the most funds ever, you know, and they spent the first game with the new engine, building the tech, smallest team they had, and the smallest budget they had. So it was common sense. We're not psychics. We just know how to read common sense. So again, we called it forever ago, and all you guys in the chat called it forever ago. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Gears 5 post-launch Operations DLC. They have announced this, and after this, I swear to God, we're done with just talking about the game. We'll get into the interview. But Operations includes new modes, maps, and features, and that is coming actually kind of soon. Actually, Operations will last 3 months, and it's free to everyone. An example of something else they're doing that's great. Operations 2 coming at a later date, so they are supporting this game heavily. They did add a ton of free maps to Gears 4. But I think they're going all out with this one, knowing what kind of crazy player base it's going to have on Game Pass, especially. And now we can get, we talked about Batista and all that. Now we can get to the Gears 5 developer talking about Scarlett. Colin Penty. Is that how you pronounce it, Colt?
I don't know.
Okay,
I glossed over it, but go ahead.
Okay, well, he's the technical art director, and he does confirm dedicated ray tracing cores in the Xbox One or the Xbox Scarlett. He says, let me zoom out of this here.
Speaking of fortune tellers, deal, you called this like months ago.
Me and D-Batch were the first ones in the community to say that the next consoles will have ray tracing. Probably the first ones in the world. There was no one else talking about this shit.
Oh, man.
We were laughed out the building.
You guys were laughed at so hard.
Yeah, that's right. They were.
Yeah. I mean, what's new, though? They laughed at me when I told them Forza 7 would be 4K 60. They laughed when we said that it would do 4K. It wouldn't be $700. Like, we're used to it. And at the end of the day, hopefully they learn to shut the fuck up by now. So,
no.
Here.
They haven't. Trust me.
Well, nobody gives a fuck about their opinion. So we can say, here's what he said. He says, we don't have anything to announce right now. This thing keeps changing colors. Right now in terms of Gears on the new hardware, but I'm definitely super excited about the new hardware and what it could do. Having dedicated ray tracing cores is huge. Now, there's not even ray tracing on PC. Do you think there's just going to be a patch that's pushed out to PC when the Scarlett patch hits? Because we know they're patching this for Scarlett. Gears 5 on Scarlett with ray tracing. It's going to look crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's probably already there somewhat in place, and they just want to showcase it with their next generation console just to have some games that support it right off the bat. So I think so for sure. I'm excited for next generation. If I know we're off of Gears, but if Gears can show us anything, it can give us a little glimpse of what next generation is going to be like, because this game is really teetering on next generation, because there's just some things in this game that I just haven't seen before. Just the clarity, the fluidity, like everything is so detailed. It just is on another level. And that's the only one disappointment I've heard some gamers talk about Gears, that it has no ray tracing. And I think that'll come next year when we get the Scarlett.
And there's people that don't know anything about ray tracing or
ray tracing is overrated.
There's people that don't know. There's people that don't know anything about ray tracing. There's people that don't know how it works. They don't know why the PC version is so demanding. They don't know how it scales. They don't know how optimized it still is. And they're talking about how the consoles could never do it. Do you guys understand that it's going to have custom hardware? Apparently, one RT core. What is it? I had to go back over my own damn video. Basically, a ton of dedicated ray tracing hardware in there. Not only that, but it's going to be completely custom. Secondly, they're not going to be just running NVIDIA's ray tracing from PC games today. Do you guys consider that it's not going to be that demanding compared to the PC version? Will it be as good on Ultra? Of course not. No. But at the end of the day, like, it's going to be ray tracing in real time on console hardware, and it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Add to that they're going to actually implement this in custom ways in various scenes. So Gears 6, if you're on a lake, or there's a map and or part of the story is on a lake, like, they only have to worry about that one scene and can optimize it as best possible for that one scene, right? Like, why do people ignore this kind of stuff?
I don't know.
They don't understand it, though. That's what it is.
Yeah, because
then shut the fuck up about it. You know?
Yeah, if you don't understand it, why are you talking?
Yeah, when they talk about it's overrated or it's a buzzword,
I can't do it.
They say the same things about every real new tech that comes out. I mean, they did it with HDR. They did it with HDR. And HDR is a perfect example of how it can add to games. I mean, I just don't understand like how people can just naysay a new technology and say, oh, it's overrated. It's a buzzword when it's definitely not. I mean, people used to say the same thing about 4K. They're going to say it about 8K, but it is a next evolution in this whole process. I mean,
and it'll only get better the more games that use it. And when consoles adopt ray tracing, you're going to see this everywhere, and you're going to see it used in smarter ways and better ways for years.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, people are judging ray tracing on NVIDIA's implementation. First of all, NVIDIA's using DX12 ray tracing. First of all, they're just using a layer on top of it, whatever. Not to get into the details. But this is just first generation ray tracing. What we're hearing behind the scenes is that AMD's ray tracing is really efficient. And AMD is pretty much went on record saying that they're not going to bring ray tracing to the table until there's like virtually no penalty for it, right? So like you run ray tracing on an RTX card, like an RTX 2080 or 2080 Ti, you're getting like a huge penalty, like 40-50% penalty. You're getting a huge penalty to run that. Next generation ray tracing on the Navi architecture, at least from the leaks and stuff, that we're hearing behind the scenes, the penalty is not going to be that large, and they're going to have a software and a hardware solution, and they're going to combine it.
You know why people say HDR is overrated or whatever? Like, there's a lot of people I've seen them talk about how, and I've even told some of them, look, your TV doesn't really support HDR, and I think and this is a big problem. I think this should be illegal. TV manufacturers put HDR on the boxes of TVs that do 400 nits. I mean, you cannot have HDR without extremely bright highlights. And,
you can't. You
need a wide color gamut, and they're stamping this on TVs that are $600 fonts.
But you can get some with a wider color gamut. You just can't get that nit intensity that you need to really achieve that true HDR. But, I found it funny. Top Dog, he's out there saying that, ray tracing's been around since the 80s. Well, HDR's been around since the 1800s. What's your point? The thing is,
oh, destroy Top Dog.
Not a good look,
technology
buddy.
always moves forward. The implementation is always something different, and this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about ray tracing that was out in the 80s, dude.
And that's completely different. That's a lot of baked elements where this ray tracing is calculating the reflections in real time, like how it would
true immersion.
Just know, and this isn't a knock, like the first 4K TV I bought compared to my OLED now, especially compared to the KS8000 after that, was dog shit. But at the same time, I paid a dog shit price for it. And that's, again, not a knock. I'm just being real. I wasted money on that thing. I wasted money on the KS. I should have just went straight to the fucking OLED. Like, my point is, there's a problem when these manufacturers can sell you a TV that's got an 8-bit panel, does 400 nits, doesn't have a wide color gamut, and doesn't even have local dimming, and they're stamping HDR on the box. It should be illegal.
Now, the problem with that HDR and on those kind of TVs,
it actually makes the games look worse, right, Colt? Like when you turn it
worse.
Yeah,
it looks worse
because you got lots of bloom. You're not getting.
It washes the whole. It washes the whole. So do this real quick, guys. If you're not sure if you have real HDR or not, and you're like, man, when HDR is on, like the game looks washed out. The blacks aren't really as deep as they could be. try going into your Xbox One X settings, go into settings, and turn HDR off. You may have an 8-bit panel and not know it because you were sold that by some idiot at Best Buy, and they took advantage of you. You know,
I had the same problem when I went to get to my TV. I said, "Hey, does this TV have HDR?" And he goes, let me look." I'm like, "I already looked at the box. You know, I don't need you to look at the box for me. You know, I wish D was there." I'm like, "D, come over here and help me out, buddy."
Didn't you guys do a video on this?
Yeah, I did a long time ago. I did a couple of videos on him that actually did really well when no one was watching my channel. I just got to say about the ray tracing thing, so we're kind of still on that. Like, we already know it's a given that the next generation PS5 and Scarlett are going to have more 60 FPS titles. We already know the resolution visuals are way up there. They're like top tier, right? What's the next thing? And this is what Dealer and I and Dee have been pushing out on our videos, that the next thing is better physics and ray tracing. Like, that's the next step. And there's room now for this. We haven't heard if Sony hasn't quite confirmed hardware accelerated ray tracing, but we've been hearing about DXR, DirectX ray tracing on the Scarlett. Now we're hearing ray tracing cores, more than one. I was assuming it might just be one ray tracing core, just to kind of get it.
You need a bunch of them to handle something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is the next step, and don't look into the future and say something is overrated. Allow the technology to reach and stretch out. Don't try to gatekeep it. This is something that you're going to enjoy when it comes.
I'll say this: ray tracing is definitely not overrated. When you have ray tracing on opposed to off, there's a huge difference. It's just the reflections, the glass, the water, everything is affected by it. But the problem is, like I said, there's a huge penalty. So, you know, guys have like, you know, $1,000, $1,100 graphic cards that can't do 4K 60 with ray tracing on, and people are like, "Oh, it's overrated, it's garbage." And like I said, once again, this is the first iteration. Bet your bottom dollar that when Microsoft implements the ray tracing that everybody's using now, that's on their API, when they have it in their own console, their developers will optimize it. And I have more hope now than ever, especially with Gears 5, seeing how they went back to the old days of innovating with, you know, switching certain stuff off of the CPU to the GPU and all the different optimizations they did with Gears 5. I have so much faith that the ray tracing is going to look amazing on Scarlett.
Mm-hmm. That's one reason God of War looks so amazing, by the way, is that they knew that all those particles they wanted were way too demanding for the CPU, as well as all these enemies in the worst case scenario. So they actually changed it and moved it over to GPU accelerated particles. Very smart developers. Brian Harris nails it. He says ray tracing in any way at a price point of $500 is amazing. You are right, sir. So let me go back to the topics. We're going off on a little tangent here. Too many people talking about a bunch of dumb shit.
What? No, we're not saying AMD is going to leapfrog NVIDIA. Nobody said anything about leapfrogging. Are
you surprised, Cole? This is all these people do is take dumb shit out of context.
I'll tell you what AMD will have. They'll have probably two consoles. Yes, they'll have two consoles on the market that both. I mean, if Sony doesn't have hardware accelerated, I would say, let's just say that they both have it. They're going to offer you that at a $500 range. Yeah, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you guys will have your consoles to fight over. I'm going to have my Stadia, so I'm happy.
Fugle. Fonz is buying Google.
We're going to sit here and fight about which one's better, AMD or NVIDIA. Well, my PC has both. I happily have both companies in my case. I'm not an AMD fanboy or an NVIDIA fanboy. I am a tech fanboy. I like to have good stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, dealer. Do your show.
I don't remember, but
the floor is yours, host.
Okay, I'm just reading the chat here. Snakes is arguing with somebody. Okay, and let's go ahead and move it forward here. But hey,
password is baked.
Baked. We did cover the Xbox Live outage. Really fucking sucked. It's the first time since the Lizard Squad thing, 5 years ago, that it went completely down for everybody and nobody could sign on. Which was crazy. But we covered all that already. Zalker, I want your take on Borderlands 3 and the reviews that it is receiving. I've seen, a 63 out there, but I think what's the meta, Colt?
I think it was at an 85 last time I checked.
Yeah, Zucker, speak, Zucker. We've been leaving you in
the
back
there
a little bit.
chewing on his toenails.
No, he's waiting for us to shut up.
So what are your thoughts,
it's
Soccer?
It's at an 85. I'm looking forward to the game. I played.
So is the dog shit 85?
Yeah, it's probably the worst one of the gen.
Okay.
And I don't know. Borderlands, like, I don't know, man. Like, to be honest with you, I'm still on that Gears hype. So Borderlands is something I was looking forward to, and that was something that kind of worried me. I was like, oh, maybe people are going to play Gears and be like, Borderlands is just around the corner and not really care for it. But to me, it's looking the other way around. I feel like more people are. I haven't heard anybody talk about Borderlands 3, to be honest with you. Nobody's been like, I can't wait for Borderlands 3. I can't wait to play that.
True.
Gears is life.
I haven't heard it. Gears is fucking. Even my friends, like, you don't understand. My buddies want to play, like, this weekend Gears instead of Borderlands. Like, all my buddies, they're like, oh, and they all have PCs. A lot of my friends have PCs, and they're like, oh, can you play with me? I'm like, yeah, on the Xbox we could. And they're like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. Yeah, it's getting good reviews. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see. I saw the launch trailer. I thought it looked pretty good. I thought it looked promising. But to me, a lot of the reviews did say it's kind of just Borderlands. Like, it's
it's getting really good reviews though. But
I mean, but Borderlands always gets good reviews.
Yeah, we got people. We got people in the chat talking about how some people in this community reviewed a game after just playing an Act 1. Yeah, man, that happens, man.
Wow.
And what you do next time is you don't click on the video.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
just align yourself.
I think I know the video that's talked about. Yeah,
just align yourself with the reviewers you trust. Or we gonna co-op this Borderlands thing, Zucker, or what?
I'm down. I don't know.
I'm gonna be playing all weekend with my buddy.
What's going on with Z Black Rider here? Why is this stuff getting time? I'm pretty sure he's a cool guy. I've talked to him a few times.
Yeah, Z Black Rider's a good guy, man.
What's going on? He's getting timed out and stuff.
Time his ass out. Good job.
I can vouch for him. He's a good guy. He's from
that was probably an accident because someone was spamming right next to him and Obi-Wan hit it. So let's fix it.
Well, you don't.
Way to go, Obi. Everybody put.
Sorry, Z Black Rider.
I mean, was it an accident? I don't see.
I'm sure because it's really difficult when someone's spamming. It's moving while you're trying to hit it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's a mini game, you know. Hit the button at the right time.
Let's get back to Borderlands 3 review.
Bring that energy, Zalker.
I'm looking forward to the game. Are you guys looking forward to it? Do you guys actually want to play it? Because I know a couple of you, I mean, I'm not going to say who, but I know a couple people just don't really care to play it. Like, a lot of people are like, I'm not that hyped because Borderlands, we just played the first one. I played a little bit of the second one, but honestly, after beating the first one, I was kind of like Borderlands out. I was like, I'm kind of out of it.
I'm not a fan of those games, man. Like, I tried to play the first one, and it just felt really dated.
Just the Borderlands games or those types of games?
No, just Borderlands itself. It's just something about it. I couldn't get into 2 either, and I played for a good 3 hours.
But you also played by yourself for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, and I heard
play that shit by yourself.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, it's the whole narrative and everything as you're going through it that just didn't grab me either. So I just didn't care to even go after it.
I didn't even pay attention to the narrative in the first one, bud. I don't even remember what happened. All I remember.
I think you guys both played it wrong.
I like narrative in my games. I do. I'm not the biggest multiplayer guy. I like single player experiences, so it's my thing.
I'm a big multiplayer guy. That's my thing. But I didn't find, I don't know, maybe I played it wrong, whatever, but I didn't get a lot of narrative that grabbed me. I literally just went from place to place looking for better guns and killing fuckers and running around. I kind of felt like I was playing a Destiny or a freaking Division, but not as good as those games.
Game Bread, we are not launching that nuke. Not today. He said, I'll time everyone out. Yeah. Obi-Wan said it was an accident, Black Rider. But I mean, hey, I played Borderlands like crazy, and I almost have every single achievement in Borderlands 1. Borderlands 2 a little less so. I'm so burnt out on Borderlands 1. Pre-sequel, I just kind of ran around that game, and it just didn't grab me at the time. And we just went back through Game of the Year edition on the X, and it looked really good. Frame rate was amazing.
We no life that thing for like a week solid. We had a good time, but by the time we got through the majority of we did almost all the DLC. We were worn out. Yeah.
I
didn't even get to chat.
Somebody pointed out in the chat to me too, because they're like Destiny fans. Yeah, I think Destiny kind of burned me on those games. Like, I'm burnt out on those looter shooters. I'm just not into it right now.
Apart from Destiny, I'm not Destiny. The Division.
Well, I mean, Borderlands is the better Destiny game, in my opinion. That's what I had a problem with Destiny because I was such a Borderlands freak. The year or two before, I'd been still playing Borderlands 2, and then I got in there, I'm like, where's the loot? Like, where's the reward for killing enemies? Where's the reward for killing bosses? They would drop like 1 orb or something.
I would say that a lot of I would say this is all tied into like WoW Classic. I think WoW Classic kind of does show that there is like this gap of like good games like a Borderlands, like a Destiny, like a Division. I think WoW Classic really was like the pinnacle of those type of games, and Diablo and stuff like that. And that's why everybody's playing WoW Classic. Like WoW, regular WoW, whatever.
Why are we talking about WoW right now? I tuned out and then I tuned back in and I'm hearing about fucking WoW. What?
Because it's a game, jack off. Anyways,
Trash.
so that game, Trash. No, and I'm not playing it, but I think those games, like the looting games, like a Borderlands games where you just keep getting better guns. I think that ties into why everybody's playing WoW, because there isn't a good one out there. And I'm thinking that maybe people are hoping Borderlands 3 is that.
There hasn't. You're right, Zucker. There hasn't been a game where you're chasing gear like really often, really frequency and drops like Diablo does, and like WoW does, and like Borderlands does. Destiny and Division do not do it. I've never picked up a gun in Division and go, oh yay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I never did that in Division either. I just enjoyed the guns.
Personally, for me, I can't get past the cell shading. I'll say that Borderlands 3 does look better out of the other ones, but I don't know.
What if Randy Pitchford comes to your house and, you know,
if someone gifted me the code, I'd play the game, to be honest with you. But I just wouldn't go out there and purchase it. And I can say the same about Crackdown 3. Like Crackdown 3, I was hyped more for the cloud stuff than I was for the.
How disappointed were you, sir?
Yeah, I was so disappointed that, to be honest with you guys, I think I fired up that game. I've played maybe 30 minutes of that game ever.
I think if somebody gifted you the code for Borderlands 3, you would boot it up and you would benchmark it and then put it away.
Probably.
I think
Fonz.
Well,
I honestly think, as for Borderlands, I think Colt is probably the biggest Borderlands fan in here. Yep. I think Colt loves that game, but to me, like, the best Borderlands game I ever played was the Telltale one. I thought that one was fucking amazing. Like, I enjoyed the story.
We'll definitely be playing Borderlands in co-op for sure. We've been playing Gears 5 for a week. Like, it's not like we haven't played a fuck ton of Gears. We have, but we're gonna be playing Borderlands when it comes out. Colt will.
A lot of games actually came out. NHL 20's coming out.
Yeah.
NBA 2K came out.
Oh god.
That comes out. Borderlands comes out on Thursday, right? So Thursday night. So.
Does anybody know exactly when Borderlands drops? Metacritic has like a timer on there, but that was like midnight Pacific time.
13th. The 13th is what it says on Xbox.
I kind of think what Zorka said is very true, though. Looking at the whole landscape of everything and just looking at kind of social media and everything, it seems like really Gears has engulfed everything, and it's just seriously on a real. A lot of people talking about it since last Thursday, that it could actually overshadow Borderlands. Like, at this point, people usually, kind of, not that, I mean, this is the first day it's physically released on Xbox, but, I just comparing to 4 is so big of a difference of what's going on. And I think even more so, and we're talking about it again, but you're going to get some numbers at the end of the week, and I think that people are going to be very impressed what the Gears has done.
Well, it's kind of it kind of reminds me of last year, to be honest, when Spider-Man came out and then Tomb Raider came out. Tomb Raider got completely overshadowed by Spider-Man, and that's exactly what I feel like is happening. I mean, Borderlands, I think, is a bigger IP. And I think Borderlands has a huge, like, hardcore following. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. Like I said, like, even my friends who pre-ordered Borderlands 3 still want to play Gears with me, like, this weekend and like on Thursday and Friday. Like, they want to play Gears.
Well, Wraith the Emperor says Boring Lands is trash, so none of that matters. Shout out to Wraith. Also shipped, who was that? Peter Young, I think it was. He got the Randy Pitchford thing. So let's go ahead and move forward. We'll be playing Borderlands, definitely. New Splinter Cell game. And this is possibly leaked by GameStop. We know Ubisoft said they're waiting for the right time to get back into Splinter Cell. They're going to do it in the right way. GameStop puts up a listing for some Splinter Cell goggles on their site, right? The item details. Say what?
Go ahead, keep going. I'm gonna go.
Okay. The item details say, for the first time since the introduction of Splinter Cell in 2002, that was 2002, wasn't it? God damn. After 9 top-selling AAA titles, that's debatable, and with the 10th release on the horizon, those are the keywords there. This is your first chance to own Sam Fisher's basically signature goggles, right? So they talk about the 9 previous. That's a milk franchise. If you want to talk about Gears and shit, holy fuck. And they say with the 10th release on the horizon, now is your chance to own these goggles. I find this interesting because they confirm it, kind of, right? Do you think this is accurate,
No.
Colton?
No, I'm sick and tired of hearing leaks about the past 2 years. I've been hearing like solid leaks about Splinter Cell, so I say no.
Yep, I agree with Colt. I don't know, just until they actually show it somewhere, I feel like we can't. I feel like this might, like, the only thing I can think of is like it's like a remaster, or they like, you know, bring a high definition quality game out or something like that. But I don't think it's happening. I don't think Splinter Cell's happening. And if it does, I mean, just announce it. Then
does Ubisoft remaster soccer?
Assassin's Creed 3.
Assassin's Creed.
The worst Assassin's Creed. They're like, let's remaster that.
But I mean, Splinter Cell Conviction and Blacklist are both native 4K on X Enhance for free.
Yeah. While we're talking about that, chat, let us know if you think this is real. Ubisoft have said they are basically going to bring it back. We just don't know when. Gaming Addict, what's going on, brother? Also, if you haven't already, consider hitting that like button, guys. Let's try to get up to 300 for the end of the show. We usually smash that. Thank you so much. Maybe share this where you share things. But yeah, Splinter Cell fans don't give two shits. I can already tell. Won't even ask.
No, I do like Splinter Cell.
What?
I'm a fan. Yeah, I'm a fan of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to be let down with all these promises.
No. I hope they do bring it back, man. I've been championing it with Rand. I've been sitting there saying, you know, we should have Splinter Cell come back, and
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, man. They've been baiting us with that for how many years now?
Yeah, for a long time. And it's gonna have to fit the new Ubisoft formula, right? Like, Ubisoft makes these huge, expansive games that you can continually play, but also add like an expansion to, like what the season pass for Assassin's Creed. And from people that played it, like, it's worth it. Like, Ubisoft wants to make the franchise, if they're gonna make it, able to fit that mold of game. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Splinter Cell's not necessarily driving any hype, and hasn't been a release since 2013. But you know what is releasing? Death Stranding. Last show, Fonz and Zalker both went on a hate spree. And
after reading this topic thing, you're about to hear more.
Yeah, maybe. So Kojima, and just take it for what it is, right? Pajamas. Just take it for what it is, right? But his quote is, and this is his quote, "Even now, I don't understand the game. Its worldview, gameplay, they are all new. My mission is to create a game that does not currently exist."
A genre.
Yeah.
A genre.
I mean, he's basically agreeing with 90% of gamers out there. Nobody understands.
So if you're one of those guys who's been saying Kojima knows all what's going on, like he's got all this master plan and we'll find out. Kojima ain't drunk no more. He's saying he don't know what the fuck's going on.
Can you imagine this fucking guy putting the trailers together? Like, the people editing are like, well, what story beats do you want to?
He has like 6 cigarettes in his mouth.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there and he's like, story beats? No, you don't understand. Put anything up there and it'll be fine. Like,
what I want you to do, I want you to throw Norman Reedus out in a meadow holding his shoulder and saying, ow, my shoulder hurts. And that's the kind of stuff he puts out there. I mean, he put that on Twitter. He showed Norman Reedus sitting in a meadow holding his shoulder. And they said, ow, my shoulder hurts.
But it'll hurt if I swallow.
I'm like, you know, okay. You've got mechanics in the game that are just weird, but you know, hey, you know, it's a video game, I guess. You know, you can do what you want with ladders and briefcases, but at the end of the day, it's like you need to sell people on this game, and gameplay is what should sell the game anyway. But it's not. They're not showing anything compelling as far as gameplay goes. And
you didn't like the glitchy falling off the cliff and then cradling the baby after falling off the cliff? And then
wouldn't you cradle a baby if you fell off a cliff with one?
If I had a baby on top of me and I fell off a cliff, I don't think I'm getting the fuck up, buddy. That's what I'm saying.
But if you did, and you happen to have a baby, wouldn't you cradle it too?
There is one 3-second clip of Norman Reedus shooting like an assault rifle. That's like there is that. Yeah, he's like over the shoulder shooting, and they zoom in. It's like, and it's
wait, but is that a third person shooter? What genre is that?
It's a Strand game.
Oh,
he's stranded out in the middle of nowhere, and he had to shoot people.
Don't worry, It's about strands, okay? Social strands, strands of
strands.
How did he pitch this to the people? What kind of game do you want to make? Well,
he just walked in and said, "I'm Kojima."
Yeah, I get.
I just gonna say this: all the guys saying that they figured it out and they know what it is, and we're not smart enough to figure it out. If the damn creator doesn't know what the fucking game's about, we have no.
Yeah, no shit. Like he literally Socrates them, man. He's like, "Nah, I know nothing." And
I really think that I think he's trolling in that statement. I really do. You have
this
to.
This motherfucker is not trolling, bro.
Yes, he is. He wants to surprise everybody.
He has never trolled like this before. And you look at the game, none of us know what it is. He's talking about it being a new genre, but he still doesn't understand it. I don't think it's a troll. I don't. That doesn't mean it'll be a bad game. Don't take it the wrong way.
I don't think he's trolling either. I really think that the deadline's coming. It's about to go gold, and he's kind of like, I don't even really know what I made, but I'm just gonna throw it out there and see what happens.
And it's gonna be a hit. It's going to be a 90 something. Yeah. It's going to sell.
I don't think
like
so.
crazy.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be like an 80 meta. I think it'll surprise people.
80. I think 80, 82 meta. I think.
Are you serious? You guys are going to fall on that sword right now?
What do you mean?
You're going to fall on your sword because you watch the game.
You want Tim Dog to pull out a sword and make you fall on his sword?
When Tim gets mad at me, it cuts deep. It's hard to deal
it's
with.
hard to do, man. You must have really pissed him off.
I know.
Metal Gear 5. Metal Gear 5.
Maybe it's the Metacritic thing when on Xbox Live night.
But Metal Gear 5 had a lot of nonsense in it, and that got a 95 Metascore. And the user score was only a 7.4 because it had a lot of nonsense that nobody understood in it, and that was my problem with the game. But critics hail Kojima. They put him on such a pedestal that it doesn't matter. If he farts a game, it's going to be a 90.
I'll say this about Kojima. His games, whether they make sense or not, they are beautiful. Metal Gear, fuck, man. That game, outstanding. Graphics, like when I was on the horse and just looking at the animations and like the this is pre-Red Dead Redemption 2, obviously, and looking at the muscles, how they moved in the horse's legs and just the environments and the textures, I thought it was
those 4K horse balls.
Did you see that beautifulness in the trailers for Death Stranding?
Yeah, I did to an extent. It's a pretty looking game, and I hate to say this, but some PlayStation gamers, they're really shallow, and they don't care about 60. They don't even care if it runs at fucking 30 frames per second. They just care if the game looks pretty, and I think the game will deliver on that. I think it'll look pretty, but I think no one's gonna know what the game's about, and
you're gonna read reviews on this game from journalists that'll read like this. It'll say, this game, I don't understand anything I played through, but it was so beautiful, and I felt it. And I felt weird stuff like that. I don't know anything that happened.
You guys are just haters.
No, I don't know anything that happened, but the message. But the message it was trying to send to everybody and trying to get across really should be listened.
Hey, Infernal Lock wants everyone to know Borderlands comes out September 13th.
Yeah, I think when we said that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, there was already theories out there where people were putting it out there. This game is about climate control. I mean, climate change. And I'm like, what? Climate change? Like, okay.
Pretty soon we're going to need fucking ladders to get places, but.
Hey, Ryan Francis wants to know if he should get an X or wait for next year's Scarlett. I would just wait. Hey, chat, let Ryan know what you think he should do. I mean, it's a great. I felt like I got my money's worth in the first year, but it depends. If you got the cash and you're looking for something new, do it. But Scarlett's right around the corner.
Locally, right now in my city, we can find it for about like 275, 300 Canadian. I think that's like 200, 225 US. So if you could find it cheap like that, sure.
The problem is
you can get it. If you can get it for cheap, or not even cheap, if you get it and you have like what dealer said spare cash, you can. Even people. I'm not going to say names who it was, but a lot of people that played Control because of the exclusive content on PlayStation 4 admitted that they regretted getting it on the PlayStation 4 because they should have got it on the X.
Yeah.
That a lot of these third-party games have spoiled them on the X.
Hey, Evil Sith Lord says Kojima is a visionary. Zalker will agree.
Evil Sith Lord's a little...
I mean, he's right. Infernal Lock.
Konami was right.
Evil Sith Lord's awesome.
Infernal Lock also says Borderlands 3 drops September. Oh, is that the same? That's a different one? Okay, you just said the same thing twice. But I mean, hey, it's Death Stranding, man. Like, we don't want anything bad for the game. I've already paid for the damn thing. I think I'm gonna take a $60 L for sure. But
Hashtag Konami was right.
hashtag Kojima piss. I mean, that's something that's going around, right?
Here's the thing, though. When it comes to that game, though, I said I was going to buy it, but the more I've seen of the game, the gameplay itself, I'm not buying that game. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for people like you, dealer, to tell me, hey, pick it up, it's good, or hey, this is dog shit, don't buy it. I'm waiting to hear from people.
Because you weren't hyped for Days Gone, and I said, well, I think my review will change your mind. And then the thing hit, and you're like,
It was part of the reason why I did pick up Days Gone, and I like Days Gone a lot.
Yeah.
Double M said that if Kojima signed with Xbox, you guys would be talking so much different about this game.
No, we wouldn't, because we never cared for Metal Gear games.
I've never liked Kojima's games. I played 40 hours of Metal Gear Solid 5 to give it like the biggest chance I could, and I just didn't like it at all.
Hey, these guys know I'm a big
I had Metal Gear Solid 5 right now and don't play it.
Yeah, you guys know I love PlayStation games. They're my bread and butter when it comes to gaming. I love their games, but Kojima has never spoken to me like that. In fact, he's speaking a completely different language.
What if you just woke up and he's whispering in your ear?
I mean, I just feel like if you're gonna be real, the game has parts of it that look absolutely curious, and the game and that don't look good. They're like the part where he's running away from those three guys with the electric sticks looks like
talking about the suitcase beatdown.
Yeah, when he's running away,
he jumped back
with the briefcase.
Yeah, and then
he's like, I'm trying to get to the airport, bitch. Leave me alone.
And, he
went back like Pac-Man.
but remember the guy with the electric sticks? They were after him. It just looks horrible.
He had like a briefcase.
I'm like, this people. If this looks like State of Decay 1.
What?
Like
come on,
horrible.
Tim.
The animation.
He's right. Tim's right. The animation was bad. It was really stiff when he went like. It's just the way he dodged them and how he went back. He looked like fucking Pac-Man.
He was trying to be Michael Jackson. He's like,
he went down like in a square. He went like ding, 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 like fucking Pac-Man.
I think the game looks phenomenal. I think it looks great. It's just that the gameplay looks it's not compelling. It looks boring.
Gameplay doesn't ladders out of the ass. Everyone talks about. Come on.
I'll say this though. This is one game that I want to be proven. I want this game to be.
I'm not going to go that far because I really despise a lot of Kojima's games, but I will say that I don't wish any ill will on his games. I hope it is good for people, but his games just aren't for me. They're just
I mean, hey, maybe it'll be better on PC.
Wait for reviews.
It's supposed to come to PC. Maybe
if it gets 90s, I'll take a giant L. But I just can't see from what we've seen.
You guys like Van Gogh? Like, you a big fan of his painting?
I like turtles.
I mean, I think of Kojima as like the highbrow art of video gaming, but I think some of his he's well respected. His stuff always rates really well. It's big time, but like that genre just doesn't appeal to me, and that's just how I am. I am an artist. I'm a cartoonist. I can't stand like somebody says, "Oh, it's Van Gogh." I'm like, yeah, I get it. Oh well. But it's just everybody has different opinions.
Yeah.
But I will say, I will stand with Fonz to say this game will be well done. It'll be well rated, and it'll be the talk of the fall of 2019.
Yeah.
And leave it at that,
Game of the year!
We're not here saying it's going to suck. Some of these guys in the panel saying it's going to be in the mid 80s or low 80s. I'm like, you might be wrong. But I
hope it doesn't suck because I already took a $60 L with Dazed Boar. So
I say it gets an 89.
Well, I say it's time to move on.
Me too.
Speaking of, again, we have over 700 people watching live, guys. Hit that like button. Let's try to get 300 for the end of the show. 1,000 after the fact.
Gears launch. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm surprised with Gears of War out and stuff. You guys are crazy. But thank you for checking in and listening to us talk about this stuff. Just so you guys know, I just picked up a few little random things here to just kind of put out there. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to have dedicated side quest teams just like Witcher. So you can expect very high quality stuff there. You can also expect no Star Wars Battlefront anytime soon. According to EA, they are not producing this game anytime soon. If you remember this year, I talked about a Battlefield remaster. I was told about that by somebody who's pretty accurate usually, and that was never announced. So hopefully maybe they're working on that and it just didn't come out this year like we thought. But yeah, I really want to, because we know which one it is. I don't know if it's real or not, so I won't say it here, but I really want to play that game. And also, there's a Last of Us 2 media event scheduled. Takes place 9/24/19. People are freaking out about this, like they're going to get to see the game. This is behind closed doors for the media, and this has happened before for other games. Just so people know, I think Rand was cracking skulls, some skulls over this. But I mean, Zucker, what do you expect to kind of hear about, real quick?
What about the Last of Us 2 media
You're just going to hear some impressions, people getting to play the games?
I don't know. I think it might be something like kind of like what Cyberpunk did last year, right? Where they kind of had a closed door, showed a demo of the game, and people just fucking got hyped for it. But maybe it's for, a media event for, something that they're going to show months from now. Like they're showing the media now, then we're going to hear something months from now about what they saw.
Hang on a second. I just saw the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Hang on one second. This guy, Double M. All right, I'm just going to try
Double
to hold.
L.
I'm going to
Double
try to hold back because I literally have reviews of these games on my fucking channel. So Double M says that, dealer, you talked up garbage, State of Decay, Sea of Thieves, and Crackdown 3. You don't think you would be talking about Death Stranding? For one, idiot, my Sea of Thieves review, I did not like the game. All right.
You got
Secondly, my State of Decay review, I gave it like a 7.5. Fuck off. And third, Crackdown 3, before it came out, I was saying I don't give two shits about Crackdown 3. And I actually enjoyed having fun in that game. I gave it like a 7, some shit like that. So stop lying. You're part of the problem in this community, running around just lying, not knowing shit. Do basic research.
How embarrassing! Take 5 seconds and go look up something before you talk trash.
We need a Twitter, YouTube fucking fact checker, man.
Dealer, you did hype up. You hyped up Crackdown 3's before it came out.
I was excited for the initial cloud destruction.
We all were.
And we were all hyped for that new
But he's
tech.
saying I was talking up the game like, oh my God.
Yeah,
no, I said I care about the cloud stuff because it's very interesting, but I was never really excited for Crackdown 3.
But we knew knew at the launch of the thing, I think everyone knew that the game was not going to be what it was what it was billed as or proposed.
Yeah, getting back to the Last of Us 2 event, though, I just want to say real quick, I just think that what we may get out of that thing is a release date. I think that'll
That's what I think it's about. Yeah. That's exactly what I didn't know that I thought they were going to show new gameplay. I didn't know it was a closed door event.
When did they announce their release date for God of War?
It's like 2 months before release or something. It's really crazy close.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree, Zucker. I agree. They're gonna announce the release date like February or so for
March.
for like April or May for The Last of Us 2.
What if they drop a bomb on us? Fucking holiday.
No, they
That'd
won't.
Be amazing. Oh, I would love that though.
Well, do you talk about bombs and shit? What?
He's Canadian.
Hey, shout out to Bad Boy Live as well. I mentioned you at the beginning of the show. But hey, I'm sorry, Double M. Maybe I just was blown away by the stupidity of your comment, but it's all there. It's all there, buddy. I was excited for the cloud tech, but yeah. I'm a State of Decay 1 fan for sure. I like State of Decay 2 even more, but either way, we're not shitting. Like this is the kind of community we're into. You say something will be in the mid 80s or low 80s, and we're talking shit. Get the fuck over yourself. Like seriously.
No, let's hold on. Let's be a little bit.
Two low guys are 80 and 80. And then the other guys are 95.
These motherfuckers are talking shit.
Let's be a little fair. Me and Fonz were talking a little shit.
Yeah, you guys were. He directed it towards the guy who's like, I hope the game's good. Oh, you're talking shit.
Yeah, I've always talked bad about Kojima, though. I mean, I know what he's brought to the industry, but the guy's just boring. His games are just too out there.
What's going on, G-Man?
Meanwhile, Double BM is always freaking bashing every Xbox game with
bowel movement.
So just give me a break, man.
Hey, we got to move forward. But Last of Us 2 event. Anybody else got anything to say on that? I mean, the media will get to play it. It won't really do anything for the fans.
Are they actually going to get to play it?
I think so. I think that's what it's for.
I think
okay, well then, looking forward to it. Can't wait to see the game.
I think it's a release date.
Like, you ever listen to a podcast like that's not an Xbox podcast, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Gears 5 played." Like we're seriously, we're not biased. We're not as biased as a lot of you motherfuckers think. Honestly, we're really excited to play Last of Us 2.
Not at all, man. Last of Us is one of my favorite games of all time. Can't wait for it.
Uncharted. I'm a big fan.
We'll see. It's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be a tough year for any other game to win Game of the Year with Naughty Dog out there. We'll see. Even if it's worst case scenario and the game somehow sucks, which it won't, I think it'll still get Game of the Year. Like Naughty Dog is Naughty Dog. It is what it is. But yeah,
Have you seen the trailers? Come on, man. It looks phenomenal.
I
already.
know. I mean, hey, I said this last night on Boom Show. Maybe you think some of the journalists will ask for a non-lethal mode because people are getting their elbows broke with hammers and shit? Like, what do you think? Can I just have a mode where there's no hammers?
Yeah, no, they're gonna deliver. It's gonna be a huge game, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That game's gonna be just tremendous.
Yeah. Remedy, they want a shared universe for their games. I said this last night too. I don't give two fucks. Like, I don't think that Ice Boy from Quantum Break and Jesse from Control and Alan from Alan Wake are cool enough, and I don't care if they unite and go to fucking, they go sit at Burger King together and then they go tag team some guys. Like, I don't care about a shared Remedy universe. Does anybody here care about a shared Remedy universe?
I think it'd be pretty cool, to be honest.
I love stuff like that. I have to say. You go on.
Well, Tim, I love stuff like that when the first game that came
like if it's
out,
Iron Man or Batman or Super, sure,
Yeah.
but you got Ice Boy, Jesse, and Alan.
No, what about Max Payne?
I thought they were purchased.
Well, they don't own the Max Payne IP. That's Rockstar.
Yeah,
they sold that like
Rockstar made Max Payne 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, they sold that. Yeah,
that was a good game actually, Max Payne 3. I enjoyed it.
Max
I
Payne.
loved it.
I mean, I'm curious to know what the chat thinks. Do you care? Because I mean, I could probably be pretty divisive here, but do you actually care if you see some kind of, I don't know, man, a shared universe with Remedy games?
Iceman.
I'd rather throw go buy a bunch of different colored paint. I'd rather go buy different colored paints, throw it on my wall, and watch it dry.
So you'll have so Jesse, Ice Boy from Quantum Break, and Alan will all be sitting there at a table like, what's the mission? Alan will be over there shining his flashlight on stuff, seeing if it bursts into flames. Jesse will be talking to herself the whole damn time, and Quantum Break, he'll be over there trying to audition for the next X-Men movie. Like, I just don't see anything compelling here.
Quantum Break and Control, it would make sense for those two worlds to collide. Alan Wake.
Well, Jessie is that her name?
Yeah.
Control. She's in Quantum Break. I'm just not loving that game, and I know I'm alone. I feel bad. I don't often complain about games.
Quantum Break.
Control. I actually enjoyed Quantum Break more for some reason because just the weirdness of Control is just not jiving with me. You'll rarely ever hear me talk about a game I don't like because if I don't have anything good to say, I mean, who cares? It's an opinion. But like I've put a bunch of time into it. I'm well over like the 2/3 of the way through the game. Gears came out. I'm like, what's Control? I don't know if I'm gonna go back. I feel bad.
I'll be honest with you. I think we're spending too much time on this.
Yeah.
I think Remedy is just overrated and moving on.
No, Zalka, we're not moving on. Fuck you. How about that?
All right. I liked Alan Wake.
Hey, Infernal Talk, or Infernal Lock, he says, my runner-up for Game of the Year is Code Vein. That's an interesting choice. But Rand's was Puppy Barbie 2018, so...
you got an easy 1,000 on that.
Yeah, you got an easy 1,000 on that one.
Puppy mouth.
Double M, your video was trying to... And no, it wasn't. Just
By the way, everybody, we're going to get so much shit from Rand Althor because he loves Remedy's games. He's just going to come at us. He's going to be like, oh, fucking shared universe is going to be great. And he's going to attack us.
No, Rand is always good about letting people have their opinion. He's not a turd.
He is a turd, but he does let you have it.
Turd. Let's relax there, Colt.
By the way, just something else too that we want to throw out there. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is letting players opt out of playing against certain user types in the cross-play functionality. You can do this in Gears 5, by the way. Only in ranked, though. You can go to your settings. You can go to multiplayer. You can turn ranked cross-play off. I hope they enable that for arcade as well. I feel like the user base will be big enough. But you're going to be able to do this, and we've said this from the beginning. We're not necessarily interested in playing with everybody across the world, especially with mouse and keyboard. Massive advantage, but it doesn't hurt as long as the choice is there. It's always been that stipulation. Give people the choice, or else it just takes the fun out of it. Campaign length is in line with expectations of earlier Call of Duties as well, says Infinity Ward, just for those who don't know. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Xbox Scarlett Memory Boost. I did cover this in my last video, and I tried to re-clarify some things for some people that don't know anything about this technology type stuff, that are kind of like don't know what we're trying to say here. But it's a developer working on, I think it's Last Wing. I don't remember the name of the game, but he says a big boost to development. He says, oh, it is Lost Wing, yeah. It's Tim Ash of Box Frog Games speaks about one of Microsoft's next-gen hardwares, the memory, basically all that stuff. He says that it's going to be a big boost for development. He also says that we're highly supportive of backwards compatibility. It allows us to keep expanding the audience for our games, which is something we had talked about a long time ago. People were worried about, generations breaking off and stuff like that, and we said that Microsoft may not be in a rush to do that because, instead of starting at 0, you can start with 40 million users and developers like that. He also talks about how important the SSDs are when it comes to respawning, loading into stuff. And I did show a bit of a comparison in my last video with Xbox One X base hard drive, the external SSD, which is a $200 Samsung T5 terabyte, and then a fictional one that I kind of sped up the speed about to where I think the minimum load time would be for Scarlett, like way faster, at least 4 times faster. And the longer the load time, the more that gap is. So something like Gears may load a bit faster, but Fallout was a big disparity there. Colt, what did you think about? What are your thoughts on all? Because a lot of people are trying to wrap their heads around this memory system we've been talking about. We said that we think that Scarlett will utilize some kind of partition or cache like this to take advantage of the load times, no matter where your game is stored, external, internal, and apparently it's doing some things that people wish they could get on the PC, according to something that a few of us have kind of heard and talked about.
Well, the problem with this, I've talked to you multiple times about this, and I still don't fully understand it. And so that's why I said, hey, can I use your actual explanation in my video? And I guess that just wasn't.
In the rest of the video, though, where I'm like, yeah, this is like, we don't know, like, blah, take it all. Basically disclaimers.
Yeah, I know. And I set that up in the beginning. I always set up a light, like, this is speculation. This is from leaks. This is from talks from developers. This is based on what AMD is projecting for their hardware. Like, you put 2 and 2 together. No big deal, right? But, it's not my job to hold people's hands. Like, the information's there. The information's linked to your video links the source, like it's whatever. That's not a big deal. But Microsoft is very adamant, and so is Sony, talking about how that's one of the next level steps. Like I talked earlier about how resolution and frame rate are going to be there next generation. Physics are probably going to be there, and ray tracing is probably going to be there, right? But the other thing they want to do, like, that's not just to jump for next gen. They want to eliminate loading times or greatly reduce them, and they have a solution. Now, we don't know what it is. Dealer is putting all kinds of cool ideas together and on a real world situation and coming up with what he is pretty sure they're doing, right? So I have a confidence in what you've explained. So that's kind of where we're at right now, that you can't take an example like a 2008 game and say, look, I can do this on my PC right now, no load time when I fast travel. That's a 7 gigabyte game. We're talking about
first off, we're not talking about fast travels either. We're talking about boot ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, I just want to touch on this real quickly. A lot of people are forgetting that we already have confirmation these are going to be Ryzen 3000 processors in these consoles, which comes with PCI Express 4.0.
Oh,
beautiful.
The bandwidth is just so much more with
twice that of 3.0, right?
Yeah, of course. And what they're going to do, what I think they're going to do, is they're going to use some type of caching system on these SSDs and also use the available bandwidth that they have afforded to them. And we're going to get things streaming in a lot quicker. We're going to get virtually no load times, and they're going to have a proprietary system that's just pretty much going to be locked to consoles. And I think Sony's doing the same thing too. Now, PC, eventually one day, I guess it'll come to PC some point in time. But the problem with PC right now is that, it's segmented. Not everybody has a Ryzen 3000 processor. Some people have Intel, or some people have second generation, first generation Ryzen, where everybody that's going to have a Xbox Scarlett is going to have a Ryzen 3000 processor in it. It's going to be capable of PCI 4.0. So, they're going to optimize it. And I think that's what we're going to see with these consoles.
Can you do this currently on a PC? It's possible, right?
Well, it is possible. If you have a Ryzen 3000 processor, you have one of the newer motherboards that supports PCI Express 4.0. And if
what I'm talking about that is supposedly not possible on PC is the fact that you'll be loading in big AAA games in just a few seconds.
That's
it'll
crazy.
be optimized for consoles. So
I've heard not to interrupt, but I've heard I've heard, and other people have heard also, 3 seconds from cold boot to a game.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's
You
interesting
could show-
stuff, you know.
You know, I mean, once we get, I guess, Microsoft and so show this stuff off, but people trying to downplay and show older games and say, "Hey, look, you can do it." The bottom line is that if they're attaining 3 seconds from cold boot, you're into a game and you're into all your, everything's loaded up and your games are right there. I don't know how you could do that on PC and sign in and deal with what store you're on. Hey, my game's in Epic Store.
I think it's just going to be I think it's going to be a large discrepancy, if any, because I'm trying to think about what a PC can't do, and it can pretty much do everything. It can load things extremely fast. It's got ray tracing. It's got physics, all the stuff, right? But I'm also thinking next consoles, PCI Express 4.0, double the bandwidth. If they leverage that, they find a way to use that, depending on how much RAM they have on the motherboard, combined with some kind of caching system with the SSD, they could potentially have the whole game inside of what would be game RAM, flexible or not, right? And I'm thinking, well, if they find a way to leverage PCI Express, then they can super accelerate any kind of loading, because that's what that bandwidth can do. It's a lot of the underlying fabric of how data is transferred. And I'm just saying, I think that big games can load extremely fast. And if there's one thing, from what I'm told, I'm just cobbling it together based off of everything that we've heard. If there's one thing that PC can't do right now, it's load Gears of War 5 in fucking 3 seconds or even 5 seconds.
No.
And
to your defense, and to Colt's defense, the origin of what you're saying and what speculated and everything was a statement by somebody that obviously is
directly involved.
directly involved, and it's not from somebody that made it up here. It's
and people
that I just want to say that for Colt's defense, because I know he took a little heat. It's that statement, and the stuff that said that I would wish I had this stuff.
Yeah, we can't outright say we heard it from this person, and you don't hear stuff like that again.
That'd be snitching.
Yeah, what Dealer does is very smart. Is he takes something he hears from the inside, and he does the math, and he looks at the hardware and the tech, and
can count.
But it's just funny because people who don't understand, like there's PC elitists out there. We all have. A Dealer has like a monster PC. I have a really great.
It's funny
PC.
because I have a better PC than almost any of these guys, right? D does, and they're sitting there calling people peasants and poor. They don't understand. They haven't looked at the trajectory of consoles. They know consoles are less powerful than PCs. They're also a quarter of the price of the build that they're trying to compare it to. It's not a big deal. It's been going on for a long time. But to send lackeys like calling people names and harassing and downvoting like nonsense like that over this, just take a minute and understand that hardware, it advances, and we're talking in a year, maybe after the first year, this will really come into stride. And then on PC, this stuff will come too. It's not a big deal. And as I said in the last video, we could be wrong. We're just speculating based off what we've been told. So, and linking what sources we do have.
But look at the Scarlett promotional videos that all these developers and these hardware techs working on the Scarlett are saying this is what they do. They want to eliminate load times. They want you in your game as soon as possible. Now it's not going to be 0%. It's not going to be 0 load times. I mean, you just use your imagination and go where Tim said. 3 seconds from cold boot. Get into your games much faster. Some games, like we're already seeing games right now, hiding load times behind transitions, cutscenes. Where there's a lot of games we played with almost 0 load times once you get into the game. So this stuff is not impossible on console.
Well, I think partly that's what some of these guys that are PC fanboys but know nothing about it. I think that's what they think we're talking about as well. Like games that stream in data on an open world map, like any open world game. No, that's not. That's forever old. No one's talking about that. Like they don't even that's how little research they do. So I don't know. We can kind of move it forward, but it's really funny.
Go watch.
I just want to say something real quick. I do believe this will come into fruition just for the simple fact that we have all these cloud consoles that are coming. We have Stadia, and Stadia is boasting like no load time. So when these consoles are coming out next generation, they gotta last like 3-4 years. I'm sure that's going to be a selling point, and they're already touting this, so it's happening, and just deal with it.
Mad Dog says, "Do you think Scarlett will have a new controller? It may have a redesign. I expect USB-C for sure at the very least.
Be nice if it came with an Elite.
It's Jesus. This again. The Xbox One X should have came with an Elite.
Are you gonna become a Xbox hater now because the Scarlett didn't have an Elite?
D, he wants to know if you'll be an Xbox hater because don't have an Elite.
That's it, man. Like I had to spend an extra $150 when it could have came with the damn system. Come on, Microsoft.
And they just took like 6 gigs of RAM out here. Okay, we made up the difference. Hey, we got to give a shout out to Philly Eagle, Midway. We also got Forescape. We got, whoa, that's a Blood Ninja. Oh, that's a little intense name there. Top Dog, thanks for still hanging out with us, buddy. DJ Singh, Kratos, all you guys. Lethal Papa.
DJ Singh, what's up, man?
Yeah, he's all over the place on Twitter.
Original.
So again, guys, thanks for joining us. This is our last topic. Long show, a lot of stuff to cover here, a lot of interesting stuff towards the beginning of the show. If you missed it, check it out. Thank you so much for rocking out with us. Share this out. Help out the show a little bit. It's Gears 5 release day, so help us out a little extra. We're gonna need it. A lot of guys still showed up though. Over 700 watching. We do appreciate it, guys. So hit that like button on your way out. Let's try to smash past 300 and 1,000 after the fact. Thank you so much, Colt Eastwood, man. Good show. A lot to cover. A lot to win on. What have you been playing, and where can people find you?
I said in the beginning of the show, I'm playing through Gears 3 on Back and Pat, and I'm still playing Gears 5 Horde and campaign with friends. It's really fun.
Yeah. So, escape mode too.
Escape mode. Yep. Yeah, it's been really fun, and the game's great. I'm glad it's getting so much praise. It deserves it.
And let us know in the chat if you've played Gears 5 yet, what you think of it. Maybe give it a score. No spoilers, of course. D-Batch, man, what have you been playing? Where can people find you?
Gears is life. I've just been playing. I can't wait to go play it after the show. You guys can catch me on Twitter at D_Batch and on YouTube at D-Batch. I posted today a comparison of the Xbox One X versus the PC for Gears 5. The first minute, I actually didn't post what each copy is. They're just an A and a B, and I try to get you guys to guess what it is. So check that video out and let me know what you guys think. Spoiler, I think the X looks really, really good beside the PC version, and it's pretty hard to tell.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people are asking me if I played it on PC. I'm like, there's no point. It looks, I mean, I don't play on PC anyway, really, but it looks so good on the X. Shoguns says, do you think the next console will have a way to upgrade it over time? This stuff is going to be soldered to the motherboard. So you're going to have an APU, you're going to have RAM. We've already seen the motherboard itself pretty much. It's probably going to look very similar in its layout. Hard drives will be upgradable, though, I'm sure.
And no mid-generation consoles, they said, this generation.
They're doing it right the first time.
It's because it's getting a lot of power from day one, so they don't even need to mess with it, man.
People are already saying that this Scarlett sounds like it's $800, and I'm just like,
this again, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, $800 again. Wasn't this happening 2 years ago? Jeez, 3 years ago. Zalker, hi buddy, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Hanging out.
He's like over there quilting.
Quilting.
Oh, what have you been playing, buddy? Where can we find you?
Just beat Gears of War, having a good time with that. I'm gonna be playing the Horde mode and all the escape mode a bunch probably this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. And then I just kind of built a new computer, and I got a capture card from it for it, and I am gonna probably be playing a little bit of Uncharted 4 again because I was kind of waiting. I wanted to get some good footage for it, so I'm looking forward to going through that game. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that for the rest of the week, and I'll be streaming on Mixer tonight at like 7:10 p.m. or in the next 20 minutes.
Exclusively on Mixer.
He'll be dying exclusively on Mixer.
Yes. Exactly.
Fonz, man, what have you been playing? Where can people find you?
Hey, Gears 5, I beat that the other night, and I'll be playing some of the Horde mode and stuff with you guys eventually this week. And aside from that, you can find me at jfonzarelli on Twitter and at The Grounded Gamer here on YouTube. And I'm pretty disappointed, though. I mean, we talked about all these topics, but you didn't bring up the most important. Last night, EA surprised us with a public test of their cloud gaming service, and you never mentioned it once, and that's the biggest news out there, man.
All the cloud stuff. It's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, no, I feel the same way.
So
I care.
you did release a Gears 5 review.
Yep, Gears 5 review is up on my channel. If you want to if you want to watch that video, go watch it. It's all
Turn the
just
subtitles on and
Just a text without nothing, just scrolling through.
scrolling text.
This is new.
But yeah, so go watch it. Go watch Dealer's review. Go watch Colt's review. They're all fantastic. And Zocker should be putting up a review if you haven't.
It's coming tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I made one today. It took me a lot longer than I thought. Like, I mean, I put a lot of time into it, and so yeah, it's coming out tomorrow morning.
Don't worry. Go look at the main reviews out there, and it doesn't matter at all how much time you put into it. Like all the biggest reviews on YouTube, like they're all just like trash. I feel like most of them are trash. They got just random gameplay playing, and they might show one or two things they're talking about, but at the end of the day, it's like, this is like the worst review, and it's the #1 review. It's kind of, that's a little bit discouraging, to be honest, but you still put in the time. You still, make quality content, and at least you can say that you made a damn good review. So
it's weird that 100,000 people saw my Crackdown 3 review, but only 30,000 saw the Gears. I'm like, Gears is such a much bigger game and a bigger audience. And
told you, man. Crackdown had all that hate going on Crackdown 3, and that's why so many people were looking for that drama on that bullshit.
That was weird.
There's a lot of search for Crackdown. Like, I did a video on Crackdown and just talked about the reviewers' impressions, like when IGN were shitting on it and stuff, and I was talking about, oh man, this is interesting.
Fonz as well.
And even that video did like 70,000, like just talking about what they said about the game, because people just want hate, and I wasn't impressed with what they said either. So
if I would have titled my review Crackdown, Gears 5 sucks, I may have gotten some views.
Well, Fonz, you did a Crackdown impressions video that did like one of your best ever, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was, and that was when news was kind of trending in on it. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
But I think that's when people were just looking for the hate. So
yeah.
Tim Dog, man, what have you been playing? Where can people find you, brother?
What have I been playing? What do you think I've been playing? I'm playing the best game I think I've played in a long time, Gears 5. I'm almost finished. I'm
fucking right, Tim.
It's really, really, really impressive to me. I think the difficulty is just right too at intermediate. I don't play with a co-op. I usually like to play alone, just like to just zone in, because I feel when I play with somebody, I like that, but I kind of pay attention to what we're saying. I'm one of these people that can't do two things at once. I'm just not good at that. So I'm really taking in the game. I have to say, just holy crap. Hopefully be finished by next week. So just tell you then that when we go what we've been playing with. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't played it, go out there and Game Pass it. Get that game on your system. If you own a 4K television, enjoy the 4K. I mean, there's just tech of it, and that's really what at the core of what I love about video games is tech. For me, just I can't say it enough. The tech, the sound, everything that they've done with this, the HDR, it's just really just such an awesome experience for me. So other than that, you can find me here every week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Always happy to be here, and thankful for such great panel members that we have. Also Sunday night, 9 o'clock, TXR. I'm on there every once in a while as well. Tune in there, and you can also find me on Twitter, xCloud Tim Dog, Big Fire Xbox guy on the avatar. Hit me up, ask for a follow, whatever, follow for a follow, whatever you want. Thank you for thank you for tuning in this week. Chat's awesome. Everyone's
Tim,
awesome.
you're the best. You really are.
You're the best.
Follow for follow, motherfucker. Ron Hale, what's going on, brother? Yeah,
Follow
Gears, great game.
Tokens.
I think I got everyone right. I've been playing Gears off and on. I'm running through the campaign again, this time mostly solo, and we've been playing everything else that's been out. Last Boss of Control, a little bit of Wreckfest. I didn't play in that as much as I thought I would, but I don't even think it's Xbox One X enhanced, and And I just don't know, man. I'm trying to get into it, but right now there's just a lot to play. It's always been like one of those games where you'll just kind of play it on the side when there's nothing going on. Borderlands comes out as well soon, so I'll be playing that with Colt and other people. So yeah, we just been kind of playing what's out, man. It's nice. There's a lot of games coming out and a lot going on, so it's a nice change of pace, man. People are like, there was never a drought. And it's like, well, maybe you just play the same multiplayer over and over. Like, I pretty much beat every game when it comes out, and then I'll play multiplayer. Like, that's just, we all play games different. So to me, there was a drought. Now there's not, so that's great. But hey, let us know your thoughts down below. Again, hit that like button on your way out. Share this with somebody you know. Let me know about what you think down in the comments when this thing renders. Check out the links down below. Join the channel, Patreon link, and more. Subscribe to all these guys. All do really good content. And we are out, guys.
Later, everybody.